Okay, so let's back up for a second here. Now, as I said earlier, a belief is simply an idea or a concept that we feel really, really certain about. For example, when I say I'm a great salesman, that's actually just a belief. It's not a fact of life. You get it? It's just my belief. Now, truth be told, this is actually a bit more than just a plain old belief. For me, it's a conviction at this point in my life because I have so many references about being an outstanding salesperson, meaning there's so many experiences I've had of being a top producer and breaking company sales records that there's really nothing you can say to me to sway me away from that belief. I simply know it to be true at the core level, at the deepest level. It's a conviction. Now, a weaker belief for me might be something like, I'm good at basketball, I'm a really good baseball player. I mean, yeah, I know I'm decent at it, but if someone tried to talk me out of it, it wouldn't be impossible to make me think otherwise, especially if the person were an authority figure in that particular field. See, the point I'm making is that what actually makes a belief powerful are the references or the experiences that we have to support it being true. The more positive references, the more certain we are that our belief is empirically correct, and the less likely we are to have someone convince us otherwise. But again, and this is where the real irony is the thing that so many of us fail to realize is that no matter how certain we are that something's actually true, it still doesn't make it a fact of life. It's still just a belief disguising itself as a fact of life. Imagine it this way. Let's say you have a table with a tabletop and 4 legs. The idea is that when I say I'm a great salesman, that's the tabletop right here. And then I have all these experiences from the past that tell me this is true. Like I was a top producer in this situation, and again in this other situation, or I trained many, many salespeople, I was written up in the media, I made millions of dollars. All of those are references or legs, so to speak, that support the tabletop. The more experiences or references that you have, the more legs you have that are actually holding up the tabletop, the more sturdy it becomes. The power of the belief doesn't actually rest in the idea itself, but in the references that support it. Make sense? For instance, let's say you have a limiting belief that you're not great as a salesperson. So what do you say to yourself? What's your inner dialogue? You say things like, well, I'm not a born salesman, or I'm not that charismatic, or people don't respond well to me, or I can't hold a person's attention. That's all your self-talk. And then I would say to you, okay, well, that's an idea you have about yourself, or maybe an opinion, but the question really is why? Why do you think that way about yourself? And you might say, well, it's because in the past, I remember being in this situation where people either walked away from me or didn't buy from me. Or I remember a time when someone said, you have no charisma, John, or you should really get out of the sales business altogether because you kind of suck at it, or whatever it might be. And what those are just experiences from the past that probably caused you some pain back in the day, so you kept thinking about them and dwelling on them. And eventually what ended up happening was they reinforced themselves by stopping you from taking action. They might have put you back in that same situation where you could improve yourself. It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So now if you want to change that belief, the first thing I'd ask you to do is, number one, say, does that belief actually serve me? Yes or no? Is it making my life better or worse? And the answer to that is obviously no, which then makes it a limiting belief. By the way, if you have any doubt about whether things like sales and charisma are certainties or they're just beliefs, then let me just say this, I have a newsflash for you. Charisma and sales, they can both be learned. They are entirely learnable skills. You teach both of them to people every day, all over the world. They become top producers, agree with most. However, if you're stuck with a belief that says, I don't have charisma or I'm incapable of being a salesman, well then, guess what you'll do? You'll act in direct accordance with that belief, and you'll refuse to put yourself in a situation where you might have a chance to speak in public or sell anything or even take a course about sales. Now, conversely, if I were to try to convince you that you actually did have charisma, I would never say, oh, that's just not true, John. You actually do have charisma. You just gotta forget that nasty little voice inside your head that's crying you all these years. It's just a limiting belief. And I can never actually say to you 10 times loud, I have charisma, I have charisma, I have charisma. Not true, not true, not true. I do have charisma. It would never work. You just can't wish away a limiting belief. I used to do this thing in seminars where I'd have a wooden table and actually have a cricket bat. And I'd say, watch, my limiting belief is that my past would always haunt me. My past would always haunt me. That was my tabletop. And the references I had over my legs, this is a bad article that was written about me many years ago. Perhaps a passive comment I'd heard or someone made to me, or a bad interview I had on a radio station, had all these references, so to speak, and all these experiences I had that made me truly believe that my past would always haunt me. So for me just to try try to say, my past will not always haunt me, my past will not always haunt me, it's just simply not going to work. So I'd say to the people in the audience, now watch, I want to break that belief. I can't simply wish it away by saying, my past will not always haunt me. It's like taking this bat and smashing the idea from the top. And then I'd actually take the cricket bat and I'd hit the table and it'd make this giant thud and shake wildly, but it wouldn't break. Then I'd hit it again, even harder, and then hit it harder again, and again it wouldn't go down. The tabletop would still stand. And then I'd say the way you break a limiting belief is you go after the legs and you knock them right out. Now in this case, I could remember that there were actually lots of positive articles about me as well. And the bad ones were usually written by someone that had an agenda against me or just trying to sell newspapers. In other words, what I did was I actually went back to the past and I re-examined the experiences and I applied a new meaning to them by changing the language of my own thoughts. I actually re-experienced things and I came up with an empowering meaning to the memory versus a disempowering meaning. See, we give meanings to everything around us based on language, based on the words that we say in our self-talk. For example, someone might write a negative article about me, and I could say, oh, that's such a terrible article, and I could feel crappy about it. Or I could say, woo-hoo, any press is good press, and I could be happy. See, the language that you apply to whatever happens to you in life creates the meaning. The experience is the experience. Very often, though, what happens is that we draw the incorrect meaning because we were feeling disempowered at the time. We were young or someone in a position of authority said something hurtful to us. Maybe we went to pick up a girl and she rejected us. We went into a business like I did in the meat and seafood industry. And I failed. And I thought to myself, well, maybe I'm just not entrepreneur material. I don't have what it takes. And that's just from one failure. And it's almost never true. See, in my case, it was just that I didn't know the skills of being an entrepreneur. That's why I failed. It's not that I wasn't entrepreneur material. The problem was that the words I was saying to myself at the time, though, were incorrect. You get it? So we draw incorrect meanings all the time, and they end up holding us back from being the best we can be in the future. The good news, though, is that we can actually go back and re-experience these times from a position of strength, then change the language by simply looking at things from a different angle. See, the bottom line is this. You might have heard this before. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Let me repeat that. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Now, in my case, I went back to the negative experience and said, wait a second, that journalist, she was an idiot. She was just trying to sell newspapers. What does she know about me? And then I remember there was this one professor who didn't want me to speak at his school in the beginning when I first went on the speaking tour, because of what had happened to me. And yet now they beg me to come to Harvard and Stanford and Yale, and they'll pay me $50,000 plus an hour. And that was before the movie Life was in production. So again, I go back to the experience and say, now what about that person? What caused them to be so negative towards me? Well, maybe they had their own agenda, maybe their own stuff going on, maybe they were fighting their own demons from the past, and it made their message slightly impure. You see, one by one, here's what I did. I went back to these experiences that were bothering me, and I gave them new meanings, and bam, it was like knocking out the legs of the table. And just like that, I'd go back to that table at the seminar, I'd take a swipe at the leg, and boom, almost with no effort, the table would fall. Now, the reason this works so well scientifically is because the unconscious mind is so powerful that to change a belief, all you have to do is go back to the first experience, the root experience, and change its meaning by looking at it from a more empowering point of view. Then, once you've done that, you essentially re-examine that experience from an empowered state. Then as you move forward, the rest of the experiences that resulted from that, they automatically rearrange themselves in your brain in light of the new meaning. Now, in my case, I actually went back to my meat business days when I failed that first time, and I said to myself, it's not that I wasn't entrepreneur material, I just didn't know a few things. I didn't know about cash flow and overexpanding. And perhaps I wasn't that good at screaming out my sales. These are basic skills that an entrepreneur must have. But back then, I didn't have them. See, now as an educated adult, I could say, I didn't have those proper resources back then, didn't have the training at the time. But back in the day when I originally created that belief, they were in the middle of towing away my Porsche and I was going bankrupt. And when that was happening, I was obviously thinking some pretty lousy things about myself, not the least of which was, maybe I'm not entrepreneur material. See, here's what we tend to do. We tend to draw meanings about things at some of the worst times in our lives, and they end up sticking with us and getting caught in this web cycle of limiting beliefs. And the challenge is that once you have a limiting belief, it actually scours the environment for proof that it's true. And it deletes out anything that perceives not to be true. And the important word there is perceives not to be true. Now, in the case the woman wrote that negative article about me, I had all these positive articles that had been written about me as well, but I deleted them. I focused instead on the negative one because what a belief does, it forces your mind to essentially scour the environment to look for evidence to support itself. And if it's not there, by the way, it'll simply make stuff up. Your belief will actually skew, distort your judgment, even change your visual acuity, and you'll actually start making things up to support your limiting belief. And once you start doing that, you'll develop even more references that are toxic. And before you know it, you find yourself living inside a box that's been constructed from your own limiting beliefs, one on top of the other, on top of the other. Now listen, we all have limiting beliefs. So let's start going through these beliefs right now.